Let's go, Dolphins! The Miami Dolphins are closer than ever to a complete internal implosion. What if I told you that decisions made behind closed doors could reshape the team's future for the next decade? Tensions are rising, and while the media continues to spin the same tired narratives, I have the real story Dolphins fans need to hear. This isn't just about another loss, it's about power struggles, job security, and whether the Dolphins are finally ready to cut ties with the people holding this franchise together. But before I drag you into the chaos, I need something from you. If you're a true Dolphins fan, a true fan, hit that like button right now. And if you've endured more than 20 years of heartbreak and still wear that jersey with pride, I want you to comment below. Go, Dolphins! We deserve better. Okay, let's get to it, because what's happening in Miami right now could be the breaking point we've all been waiting for. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler lit the spark this week when he revealed on the Rich Eisen show that Mike McDaniel's job is moderately hot. What does that even mean? Well, let's translate it to football terms. That's probably around a 6.87 on the hot seat scale. It's not a fire him now level 10, but we're not far off. That's the kind of danger zone where one more humiliating loss could tip the scale. And let's be real, some believe it should already be a 10. No more excuses. McDaniel should have been gone after the disaster of week 1. Fans aren't just angry, they're disillusioned. There's a growing sense that McDaniel is simply not the guy to lead this franchise into the promised land. The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game under him. Actually, we haven't seen real results in 25 years. That's a generation of heartbreak, disappointment, and watching other teams live our dream. And yet, Stephen Ross, the man pulling the strings, continues to value relationships over results. Fowler reports that ownership really likes McDaniel, not just professionally, but personally. And that's the problem. Ross seems to care more about his inner circle than he does about delivering wins to the fans who bleed aqua and orange every week. This is the NFL. It's a cutthroat business. You win, or you're out. Fans don't care how likable the head coach is. They care about the scoreboard, about January football, about championships. The longer Ross clings to this friendship-based leadership, the further we fall behind. And don't even get me started on Chris Greer. Every morning he's still employed as a slap in the face to this fan base. He's had enough chances. He's failed to deliver. The product on the field is ugly. Every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, we're watching a team that looks lost, poorly constructed, and often outcoached. So how does this change? How do we go from moderately hot to McDaniel is out? Here's where it gets interesting. Fowler suggests that the fan base holds the power, not with tweets, not with hashtags, but with their wallets. If fans stop showing up to Hard Rock Stadium, if the seats are half empty, if merchandise sales drop, if jerseys and sweatshirts start collecting dust on the racks, then maybe, just maybe, Stephen Ross will be forced to make a change. Because this league is about money just as much as it is about wins. If Ross starts losing both, his hand will be forced. So if you're a local fan, maybe it's time to skip a home game. Maybe it's time to keep that jersey in the closet for a while. That's how you make your voice heard. The Dolphins don't deserve your support until they start showing they care about giving you a product worth cheering for. One analyst even said he won't wear Dolphins gear again until both McDaniel and Greer are fired. And honestly, that kind of silent protest might be exactly what forces Ross to wake up. And there's more. Reports also suggest Ross's sons are involved in franchise decisions. But here's the twist. Ross doesn't actually have sons. So who's really influencing these calls? It may be his son-in-law like Daniel Silman, or maybe even his daughter Jennifer Ross, who many believe is the future owner. That tells you there's a succession plan in place. Ross turned down a reported $10 billion offer for the team because he wants to keep it in the family. That's good for long-term stability, but it could also mean the current dysfunction continues under the same philosophy. Now, what if McDaniel does get fired mid-season? All signs point to Anthony Weaver, the current defensive coordinator, as the most likely interim coach, if he's still here. There's concern that McDaniel and Greer could try to save face by scapegoating Weaver, blaming the defense for the failures. But that would be a huge mistake. Weaver is respected, and last year's defensive performance speaks for itself. He deserves a fair shot and certainly shouldn't be shown the door before McDaniel. Alright, let's keep it rolling, because what comes next could define the future of this franchise for the next decade. If Mike McDaniel is indeed fired, whether during the season or at the end of it, the next hire has to be the right one. There's no more room for error. The Dolphins have wasted too many seasons, too many quarterbacks, and too many coaching cycles. The next head coach can't just be another experimental name with potential. It has to be someone who can walk in on day one and command respect, discipline the locker room, and bring a new identity to this team. And that's exactly where this conversation takes a dramatic turn. According to reports, if Miami makes a move, there's a good chance Stephen Ross might lean toward hiring a disciplinarian type, someone in the mold of Dan Quinn. It's a clear shift from the laid-back, players coach style of McDaniel. Buffalo. But the question is, who fits that mold? One name that came up and quite frankly sent shockwaves through the fan base is Rex Ryan. Yes, that Rex Ryan, former Jets and Bills head coach, now ESPN personality and the face of Blitz First, Yell Second football. But let me be absolutely clear, hiring Rex Ryan would be a catastrophic mistake. This isn't the Rex Ryan of 2009 who took the Jets to back-to-back AFC championship games with Mark Sanchez. That was lightning in a bottle, not a repeatable formula. His last coaching stint with the Bills ended in flames, with players reportedly refusing to play for him. That's not leadership, that's dysfunction. Bringing in Rex Ryan would be going backward, not forward. And if you think that's bad, there's an even more terrifying name being floated, Bill Belichick. Yes, the 6-time Super Bowl champion. Yes, the defensive genius. But let's not kid ourselves, those days are over. What we've seen from Belichick the past few years in New England is a coach struggling to adapt, clinging to an outdated philosophy, and alienating both fans and players. Hiring Belichick now would be like trying to win with a rotary phone in a smartphone world. It might have worked in the past, but that era is gone. So if not Rex, if not Belichick, then who? Here's where things get interesting, and maybe even a little exciting. There's a short list of candidates who actually make sense. Guys with fire, experience, leadership, and modern football minds. Let's start with Robert Saleh. He might have had a rough run as head coach of the Jets, but let's be honest, he wasn't the problem. The real issue in New York was the roster, the front office, and the quarterback carousel. Since returning to San Francisco as defensive coordinator, Saleh's been lights out. His defenses play aggressive, smart, disciplined football. He'd bring that same energy to Miami, and unlike McDaniel, Saleh knows how to hold players accountable. He should absolutely be at the top of the list. Another option that's gaining traction is Mike McCarthy. He's currently out of Dallas and has experience managing big personalities and high-pressure environments. Say what you want about his final years in Green Bay or Dallas, but McCarthy's resume speaks for itself. He's a Super Bowl winner, and the Dolphins haven't had one of those roaming the sidelines since the Don Shula days. He might not be flashy, but he's steady, experienced, and proven. Now, if the Dolphins want to go bold and build something from the ground up with a rising star, there are two intriguing names to watch: Jesse Minter and Chris Shula. Minter has followed Jim Harbaugh from Michigan to the Chargers and is seen as one of the top young minds in defensive football. And then there's Chris Shula. Yes, that Shula, the grandson of Don Shula, the most iconic figure in Dolphins history. That name carries weight in South Florida. Chris is rising fast as a coordinator and could become a first-time head coach very soon. Imagine the symbolism of a Shula leading the Dolphins again. But if Ross really wants to make a massive splash, and I mean a legacy-defining move, there are two veteran names that could shake the NFL: John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin. There's real buzz that Harbaugh's days in Baltimore could be numbered, despite his success. Ravens fans are growing impatient, and if the team underperforms again, the door might open. Same with Tomlin. He's a respected leader, a player's coach, but even Pittsburgh's patience has limits. A collapse this season, and they could look for fresh blood. Either of those two would be a home run hire for the Dolphins. No risk, no guesswork, just established, championship-level leadership. But here's the catch. To land one of those big names, Miami has to become an attractive destination again. Right now, with Ross, Greer, and McDaniel still clinging to control, that's not the case. Coaches talk. They know when a franchise is dysfunctional. They know when ownership meddles. If Ross wants to land a Harbaugh or Tomlin, he's going to need to prove that things will be different this time. That starts by cleaning house, top to bottom. No more McDaniel. No more Greer. A fresh start. So I'll leave you with this. If the Dolphins fire McDaniel, who do you believe should be the next head coach of the Miami Dolphins? Do we need a disciplinarian, a veteran leader, or take a gamble on a rising coordinator? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're